up? What's going on, peeps? We got 5 subscribers in the house. All right. Woo! I don't know. Let's talk about some shit. I'll tell you about the ruins, and we can talk about whatever else after that. We harvest this room. Shit is a fucking pain in the ass. Didn't have the trim crew or the people that usually take care of this for me here to do that. So over the course of this week, I've come here every fucking day, just done a little bit, and it was finally done yesterday. So today is like one of those days where, what's up, dude? Alex. Today is one of those days where I'm just fucking here cleaning up. That's about all we're doing. And if I have never gone over that process, and I'm sure I have at some point in time through the history of this channel, I'll show you how I clean the system real quick. Basically, you're ensuring yourself success by making sure the system is sterile before you move on to anything else, like putting plants in this room. It's a very bad idea to just go from one harvest to another grow without completely being vigorous about sterilizing the system. So basically, what I do is vacuum out all the water, okay, and get it filled up with a little bit of water. You just scrub the sides. I mean, it's not rocket science. I use this particular brush right here because it can get into some nice tight places and do a good job on the sides of the containers. As you can see, they're like new again. After that, I suck all that water out and get all the debris that is scrubbed off the sides, again, with the vacuum. And dump that water, fill it back up with a little more tap water, maybe a couple more inches, 4 or 5 inches. And that's basically what you see right here, is the bottom, just above the bulkheads of the container. So I'd say about 4 or 5 inches. It's got water in it again. And at this point, you've kind of removed all the sediments and the root matter and any large particles that were lingering around in the system. So after that, I dump a whole one of these right here, a whole one. H2O2, 29% liquid oxidizer. Don't get it on your skin. There's a particular way that I use that. I'm going to show you how here in a second. So you know, proof is in the pudding. I dump a whole one, okay, a whole liter. I dump it in the last container for 2 reasons. Most of everything that you're trying to sterilize is not really in these containers. That is easy stuff to clean, vacuum, rinse off. That's easy stuff to get to. Everything that you're really trying to sterilize, that all the stuff that you can't see, hidden potential fucking diseases and problems that can infect your following grows if you don't sterilize it properly, are all hidden in these pipes. 2 ways to prevent this. Do what I'm doing now, which is a $10, or in my case, a $9 bottle of H2O2 and a little bit of water, or replace all the pipe, every single run. Those are 2 ways to do it. You just got to figure out what's easier for you. If you don't have the time, but you don't mind spending $20 on new pipe every single time, then that's the way to do it. But in this case, I'm not trying to be in here working all the time like that. The other problem is you got to replace all the lines, not just this white one. You have to replace every single line everywhere. It's a pain in the ass. So with a little more time and effort, H2O2 is definitely the way to go. The other problem area with DWC systems is the chiller. We have to use a chiller. So a lot of problems are harbored inside the bottom. There's a reservoir chamber in this thing, and water cycles through it, and in the bottom it will build up this sludgy, slimy fucking algae shit over the over the course of months. Okay, it's in your best interest to sterilize the entire system. So once you sterilize the system, you're also sterilizing the chiller as well. And what happens during this this fucking process, this little chemical process, once you add the H2O2 into the system, I add it to the whole liter to this bucket, okay, with the pump off, meaning the recirculating pump off. Once it sits, I'll come over here and system pump. I'll flip on the pump and I'll wait for that whole liter of H2O2 to circulate just enough to where I can see some H2O2 in here. At that point, I know that this entire line, right? This entire line connects to the back side of that first container, by the way, which you didn't realize that. And the chiller are saturated with H2O2, thus sterilizing the system. At that point, once you've sucked up enough H2O2 into the lines and to the chiller, and you notice some residuals down here in your first container return module, you're gonna shut that pump off. You're gonna let it sit like that for hours. In this case, I probably let it sit for about 4 hours. If you have the time, go ahead and let it sit overnight and do its thing. I'm really pushing it here. I have a schedule to you know, that I have to follow. So, you know, I do the best that I can with the time that I have allotted to me. So in this case right now, I got H2O2 circulating through this entire system. So after you let it sit into these lines, you will see some nasty fucking shit come up through the system. Shit that you didn't even think was possible to even be there to begin with. Like clumps of brown, yellow, fucking nasty shit will be coming out of the system. And at this point, here in a couple hours, or maybe even after I'm done with this video here, I will stop the pump. Again, a shop vac and a DWC system is that's your best friend right here. And that brush, okay? So I'm gonna drain the water again via this pump. This is the draining pump. See the ball valve over there, in case you're wondering how I do that. I'm not actually sucking all this water out with a shop vac. Only the residual that's left in the bottom. At that point, here's my fucking hose, my garden hose. This is fresh water that comes straight from the tap. I will go through each container and rinse off each container and suck that up again. All that nasty, grimy stuff that has settled to the bottom of this container, you will see once you shut the air pumps off. So once that's done, I fill it up. This is a very vigorous fucking process to make sure that your system is sterile. That's the most important fucking part. I can't emphasize on that enough. So yeah, that's funny. So once you got to that point, you basically want to fill it up with fresh water, because remember, you still have residual H2O2 that's still stuck inside the reservoir of that chiller. So you're going to fill back up with fresh water. You're going to circulate the whole system again, flush out the lines with fresh water. You're going to drain that, and you're going to suck the rest of that water out with the shop vac. And at that point, you can pretty much fill it up. Just call it a done deal. You can't really get too much cleaner than that. If you really wish, you can do that a few more times. Flush it out, drain it, flush it out, drain it. And then you can go ahead and follow through with adding RO, reverse osmosis water, back to the system, and follow through with adding your nutrients, nutrify the system, pH the system, and once your water chemistry is stable, and let's not forget about your temperature. That's part of the water chemistry, not just your pH and your TDS or EC. Once your chemistry is perfect in the water, then you want to work towards transplanting the plants into the modules. At that point, you're ready to rock and roll. As long as you clean the rest of this room. The room has to be sterile. I can't put enough emphasis on a sterile environment when you're growing indoors. And it really don't matter whether you're growing fucking dirt, cocoa, rock wool, DWC, aeroponics, flood and drain, ebb and flow, tables, all this stuff. You're growing indoor. You don't have Mother Nature to sit here and help you out with the predatory bugs and the wind and the rain and stuff like that. That stuff don't happen indoors. So you are the king of your own kingdom, and in this case, this is your kingdom right here. Make sure it's sterile before you move on to the next flowering cycle. Let me answer a couple questions. I've seen those. What's up, Hefe? Question: your 6 solo cup plants you put in DWC, are those flood and drain fed? If so, what flood frequency and times? That question is it's a good question. Basically, what dictates your question is the size of the plant. But if we're talking just clones, I literally will probably, like freshly rooted clones, I'm probably going to feed like once a week. Water and feed them only once a week. If you're talking about clones that are a week into the solo cup, 2 weeks into the solo cup, I'll probably feed every 2 or 3 days. That's a good question, but it all depends on how big your plants are. That's about it. If you look at my Instagram feed, you'll see me grow some wicked freaking tall plants in some of those photos. In some of my more recent photos, you'll find some updates with the solo cups. They're versatile, but once they get big, you'll have to water them 2 or 3 times a day. But when they're small, once or twice a week, that's about it. So, and those are hand watered. But if I'm traveling due to my work schedule, if I am traveling, I do have the option to turn on a pump and make the system flood and drain if I wish. But if I'm around and I'm able to take care of the grow and I'm not traveling, absolutely hand watering. That's it. How do I have my DIY air bubbler ring stay on the bottom of the modules and not float to the top? So visually, I'll just give you an idea. Okay. Oh, trying to get that angle here where we're not. There you go. I don't know if you can see that. You should be able to. See the ring? It circles the perimeter of the module and the bulkhead. Trying to fuck. Alright, where's my flashlight? You guys aren't going to be able to see this unless I have a flashlight. Well, I don't have one in here. So, the ring circles around the bottom and is tucked up underneath of the bulkhead. So it's wedged up underneath there. The length of the bubble ring that you're wondering about is the exact diameter of the bottom of the container. So it fits extremely snug to the bottom. So when it's placed at the bottom, it wedges itself underneath of those bulkheads and it doesn't go anywhere. That's pretty simple. Pretty simple process. But look at this. Look at these bubbles that you get with. This is just one ring. Okay. Very consistent way of adding diffusers to your system. No more fucking air stones. Fuck air stones. Oh my god, I'm so glad that air stones are out of my life. It's like breaking up with a nasty ass fucking girlfriend, you know what I mean? Thank God air stones do not exist in my life anymore. And you're like, fuck that bitch. Air stones are no fun. Basically, if you're running air stones, and this is what I did for fucking 10-15 years, when I'm through with a flowering session, I remove the air stones, like literally handfuls, 4 or 5 per container. So in this case, I would have 30 fucking air stones, 5 times 6 modules, maybe even 5 in that one. So 35 air stones I would put into a 5-gallon bucket, and I would do the same process. I'd fill it up with water, add some hydrogen peroxide, and sterilize the air stones for like 24 hours. Then go ahead and hook up, reconnect 35 air stones. And that's just in this fucking small little, 10 by 12 room. If you're on a larger scale and you're running more than 6 plants, fuck, you got your hands full. I don't even like doing that with 30. Thank you guys for the for everything. It's been fun, it's been interesting, being around, the community for the last several years. So thank you for the support. All right, that's another good question. Chris Kang, how many modules are being powered by one of the air pumps, and what's the size of the pump? I can't tell you how many liters per minute. I see your parentheses there because I don't know. But I can tell you the model number and the name of the piece of equipment that I do use in this case, and that will help you. So we're running. Let's see if I can zoom you in. Oh, there we go. There's perfect. Okay. We're running a Danner Supreme air pump, AP60. It is 59 watts. (5,500 CU). Okay, so I'm reading this upside down. So 5,500 cubic inches of air per minute, and the pressure is 5.66 psi. Okay, so if that helps you at all, find some formula that converts cubic inches of air per minute to liters of air per minute. Yeah, you could probably Google that. So I run 2 of these AP60 Danner Supreme pumps, and each pump, let me zoom this back out again, each pump controls 3 modules. So that pump there controls this bank, this half of the room, and that pump there controls this half of the room. It's awesome. These pumps are awesome. They last you for years and years and years. You will need to rebuild them every now and then. It's not a difficult thing to do, but if you have just a couple basic tools, you can take them apart, and it can be a delicate process, little tiny pieces and shit. So pay attention to what you're doing before you take them out, while you're taking them apart. So when you go to put it back together, you're not like, oh shit, where does this piece go? It's got 2 large diaphragms inside. I'd say they're pretty fucking big, and they're nice pumps overall. How many modules? We Canadians are gonna be able to share soon. As far as what current culture supplies, what pumps or air pumps current culture supplies with their system, the pumps that they're not these ones. The pumps that are supplied with the current culture system, they're very similar, but they are different. They're made by a company called Blue Diamond, I think it is. Blue Diamond air pumps. It's also, that information is also on my Instagram feed. You might want to scroll back to about a year ago. That information is there. They call their pumps the same thing. Instead of AP60, I think they refer to them as ET60s. I prefer the Danner pump over their pump. even though they're very similar, I do prefer. Yes, they do. October farmer, yes, that's a good question. They do run hotter. That's I'm not sure if they're aware of this or not. I haven't consulted with current culture on that matter, but those air pumps, in my opinion, do run hotter. Nope. This question is for Chris King. When I converted from the air stones, did I have to upgrade the pump size? No, I'd use the same pumps. I just I altered the use of them. So instead of running something that bridges like 16 air stones right here, I just ran it. I just made this myself. Okay, that's pretty simple to do. Just go to Home Depot, you'll be able to put that together. I would think the soaker hoses need more airflow. That's why I'm asking. I'm still using air stones and I want to switch. No, I still use. I use one of those air pumps per 3 modules, and I'm still doing the same thing. Just so you know, I mean, that's the quality of air. The bubbles are more consistent, and everything about it is just more consistent. I'm getting more air. It's not a focal air like directly underneath of the root zone. So what I noticed about these plants is that I'm getting, instead of this huge, rich, dense root ball packed to the top of the water somewhere within the first foot, the roots are actually going all the way down to the bottom of the container. And the roots are attaching themselves to the air ring diffuser themselves. So that tells me that this particular method is a lot better than running air stones. Let me see. I know a couple more questions to catch up on. Strip and flip. Are you talking about defoliating? Is that what you're talking about? This is for Steve Lynn. Are you referring to defoliation? Yes. How many gallons of water are those modules? These are 13-gallon modules. As far as Steve Lynn's question, strip and flip, that's a fancy way to put it, but it rhymes. Strip and flip. You could probably throw that in a rap song somewhere, but no, I don't. I really don't practice defoliation much at all, unless they are extremely old fan leaves that need to come off. Other than that, I don't fuck with the plant. Once you start stripping away the plant, you're basically stripping away its ability to consume and complete photosynthesis. So just like anything else in this world, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So knowing the limitations and the threshold of that technique is key. I'm not saying that it's a technique that isn't, valuable to some point, and yes, I do use it, but no, I don't use it. It's like yes and no. Yes, everybody pulls a couple leaves off their plant, but do I sit back and go, hey, I'm defoliating my entire plant, or as you put it, strip and flip? It sounds fancy, but no, I don't do that. Because at that point, it's like, again, it all depends on how much light you have, the amount of space you're giving this plant. There are many variables. So take those things into consideration before you just strip or flip your plant. If you're removing the leaves of your plant, you are stripping the plant of its ability to complete photosynthesis. The more leaves you remove, the less your plant's going to be able to consume and grow. So it may be in lieu of that, it may be one of those processes that's just kind of like something that you always do gradually. So again, that leads back to that phrase: too much of a good thing is a bad thing. Don't do it all at once. If you're going to practice that regimen, and I do know people that do it and they swear by it, ultimately, I yield 10 pounds in this room, and I don't practice that regimen at all. And I have actually defoliated, you know, to that threshold that I was referring to earlier, and I don't ever notice a difference. If anything, I notice that the flowers on your strip and flip are smaller, if anything. So it's going to make no difference. But if you get this gigantic fan leaf that's shading or umbrella, you know, creating an umbrella effect over, you know, 6 neighboring buds, obviously pull that fucking fan leaf off. That's just a no-brainer. But I don't agree in stripping your whole plant. How many gallons of water are those? What's the best newts to use with DWC? Well, I don't have them in here right now because I'm cleaning, but I've become kind of fluent with Current Culture's cultured solution line lately. I really like their nutrients. In the past, I have used Flora Nova, Flora Series 3-part. I've used Aqua Flakes from House and Garden. I've used Canna. What do they call that shit? Damn, I can't even remember. But Aqua Vega, Canna. So Aqua Vega from Canna, House and Garden, Aqua Flakes. 3-part Flora Series from General Hydroponics, Flora Nova. Those are the nutrients that I like to use. Stay away from anything that's organic, because what's the point in sterilizing your system if you're just going to add fucking organics to your system? And by the way, for those of anybody that's unaware, organic material is shit. Okay, so don't add shit to these modules. Otherwise, don't run. If you're gonna do that, if you want to run organics, don't even bother with deep water culture. Just run cocoa and soil. All right, guys, I got to run. Any last questions? Yeah, it's definitely not. It's a very good question about the strip and flip, or in this case, that's a fancy fucking term that I've never heard before, but defoliation. I think everybody knows what that means. It's a bad idea. You will stunt the plant. Seriously stunt the plant's fucking ability to produce shit for you. It will take a week or two for that plant to rebound and start showing good growth signs again. I know this because I've done it before. I know this because I see friends do it all the time, and they think that's the way. You know what I mean? Oh man. Sorry guys, you know how it is. Ganja Space Lord, Instagram. What's up, dude? Good to see some of the followers on Instagram poking around. I appreciate the monetary support. Unfortunately, it has to be like that. But you know, we also do these videos live on Instagram. I have to flip-flop between social media platforms to appease both forms of demographics. Some people, you know, prefer Instagram. You know, some people prefer YouTube, and they don't mind paying. So that's just kind of the way it is. And I don't mind making videos on both platforms. So right now we are flipping the room. I don't want to make this an hour-long video, but when this room is done, I will explain in detail and show you guys each genetic that is going to go in here. So just to kind of give you guys an intro, what's going to be here this next run, so you have something to look forward to this next live video. On the front here, or this back wall underneath 3,000 watts, we are going to have my Northern Light Cross. Okay, which I do have a name for it. I just haven't released that name for it. I just call it, you know, my Northern Light Cross. We are going to have the sauce, which is from Exotic Genetics. The sauce, which is Gorilla Glue crossed with Green Ribbon BX, right here in this module. We are going to have Vader OG's infamous Alien Abduction in this module over here. No, excuse me. It's not Alien Abduction, it's Alien Rift. My apologies. I spent you know, the last year and a half, trying to figure out which pheno of 4 packs of seeds, so that's 48 fucking seeds, that I was gonna keep. I was looking for a male and I was looking for a female. And out of 4 packs of seeds, 48 seeds, I've acquired a male and I've acquired a female. It's a good strain, but I've only run it in small batches. I've never run it in underneath of 1,000 watt lamps with multiple plants and, you know, dedicated resources, you know, so it can achieve the most, you know, that it's capable of. So it's going to be interesting to see that strain come to its full potential in this room. I've run the sauce. I acquired the sauce in, where did I get that? Washington, at a little tiny shop from a guy that helped or showed, you know, the guys from Exotic Genetics how to breed. When I met these guys, they were breeding in a bathtub, in a bathroom, a spare bathroom. I shit you not, okay? With just fucking lights hung from the ceiling and a curtain rod, and they were just fucking breeding in a bathroom. So anyway, I acquired the sauce from those guys up there in Washington. So it's gonna be, and the sauce is a fucking badass strain. If you can get your hands on a good cut, and it's not just any cut of Gorilla Glue and, you know, crossed with Green Ribbon VX, which is, by the way, if you don't know what that is, Green Ribbon VX is just, they're referencing a back cross to Green Crack, which is a cross of Appalachian. So I noticed a hint of Green Crack. What's more dominant to me is the Appalachian in it. So it's a very robust fucking OG, but at the same time it produces like a goddamn monster. So it does have some of that, you know, sativa producing qualities in there without being extremely leafy either. It has, in my opinion, the best of both worlds, production and quality. And there are several platforms of quality, and it meets all my standards for, you know, my personal criteria. My phone's dying, guys. It's about to die out. I don't want it to die out. Otherwise, we're going to lose this video. You guys will be able to reference back to this video at a later date. It keeps flashing and shit. So I'm going to end this video now, and I'll get back on cam with you guys possibly tomorrow. If not tomorrow, maybe Monday, okay? Woo! Okay.